For more than 45 years, the Jozini Dam supplied water to the most privileged of farms and to people kilometers away. But communities around the dam were denied access to the drinking water. Under the ANC government, we are now seeing water from the dam being reticulated to the surrounding communities for the benefits of all residents. Welcome to our third episode of the ANC Podcast. We present to you stories of optimism about a better future. Today we are joined by the regional chairperson of the ANC in the Nyawo region, and he is also the mayor of the Mkhanyakude district, Comrade Siphile Mdaka. Good afternoon and welcome to the ANC KZN Podcast on this glorious afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Vanessa, and thank you for having us.
You wear many hats, sir. You wear many hats, and you make us hopeful and optimistic. But let's start at the beginning. Your district, Mkhanyakude. Can you tell us about it just a little bit, where it is in KZN and Itumengan?
We are in the far north coast of KwaZulu-Natal, bordering Swaziland and Mozambique, covering the areas of Mhlabiyalingana, Jozini, Big Five Hlabisa, and Mtubatuba. It's a population of about 711,000, and 65% of this population, it's young people. You have about 167 households. We are very strategic in the sense that we are in the port of Mozambique, of course, and Swaziland, but also we are a tourist destination, a home of a Big Five. The oldest game reserve in Africa is found in this district, Umfolozi. But we're also a home of the World Heritage Site, which is the first, in fact, in the country declared, which is Mangadiso. So it's a place to visit in terms of tourism. But we're also a home of the fifth largest dam in South Africa, which makes it very interesting in terms of our core function as a district, which is a provision of clean water, of course, and sanitation.
So we mentioned the stories of how this has changed over the years since democracy, yes. The role that the dam has played, and I want to get to that in just a bit, but because you are also the chairperson of the Nyawo region, let's talk about the woman herself, Nyawo. She's got a fascinating story, especially her unconventional struggle credentials. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Look, Umam Nokamba, first and foremost, joined this struggle at the age of 63. That was around 1982, 1983. We get a story that she was recruited by his brother, James Mgomezulu, because Umam Nokamba, Mgomezulu. So you will understand that Mkhanyakude, the region, was a getaway to Swaziland, but was also a getaway to South Africa and to Mozambique. So, the Umkhondowesis were comrades. They had to go past that area. So many of our comrades there were recruited to Umkhondowesis, so as Nokamba. But she's played a very important role in terms of gathering intelligent information for our comrades. Esebenza nje umsebenzi wokuthi athuthe nezikhali samuntu oyotheza kanti kudluliswe ikhali from Swaziland to South Africa. She had about 10 kids, only one surviving now. But she also played a huge role in terms of recruitment of many other comrades in the area into Umkhondowesis.
I mean, the big story, comrade, was that obviously not many women were part of the sort of armed struggle at that time. And I mean, we only lost her not so long ago. It's 2012.
Yeah, we lost her in 2012. she inspired many of us. Of course, being a woman, also being involved in such a risky operation, which involve intelligence. But as I've already mentioned, transporting arms from Swaziland to South Africa. His brother, Jameson Mngomezulu, was captured on the 1st of March 1985 by the Special Force. It's a matter that is still in court now because his body was never discovered. And she was thrown into the sea. So the entire corridor played a very instrumental role in terms of destructive liberation. But of course, we resolved in one of our conferences to name the region as Nokamba because we wanted to appreciate the role played by women of South Africa in particular in destructive liberation, but in particular among Nokamba at that age of 63 to join destructive liberation. Something that is very close to our hearts.
And it always sounds like it will take years for something to be named after somebody who was once with us. But this seemed to be quite recent history that then became the naming of that region, which I think is beautiful and well earned by Umama. Moving on to other popular things that have happened in your district, comrade. The hosting of the president, Cyril Ramaphosa. Let's talk about that event. What was happening? What was it? What was the significance for the region and for yourself as the mayor?
Well, one, we must acknowledge the opportunity. Of course, the president was in the province and we were identified as one region that must host the president as the African National Congress in the region. We had over 13,000 people in a small stadium in the area. The excitement was amazing. Credit to the collective effort of the leadership of the region and the unity of purpose amongst the comrades. But most important was the issues that, because it was part of the manifesto review, most important was the issues of engagement with our people, particularly around issues of service delivery. Two issues that affect people of Mkhanyakude, which are very fundamental, will be the issue of water primarily, but also will be issue of security. We're in the border, so there will be a lot of border crimes in the area, which will be a concern. One such will be the issue around the car theft and so forth. So the visit of the president gave an opportunity for that interaction by our community to express those issues, but also to suggest a mechanism that can be applied by the ANC-led government to make sure that we speed up the issues of water provision, but also we kept the issue of crime in that particular region. So it was a very fulfilling moment if we are part of the leadership that we were able to create that platform mainly for our people. Because when we say the ANC is the parliament of the people, our people must find an opportunity to express their issues with the ANC. And I think in the main, that visit meant that for our people in that region.
And maybe you can then let us in on the secret, comrade, of why is the ANC seemingly growing in that region, despite maybe some naysayers, but it seems in that region, impela sengati kuhamba kahle.
Well, kuhamba kahle, it's another discussion. But I think credit to the RUC collective, the emphasis that has been placed by the RUC to the membership. It's a unity of purpose. I think the structure spent a lot of time discussing issues that affect our people, because the ANC stand for the people. So we are starting to see the results because of the focus of the RUC, which is mainly focusing on matters that affect our people. I think in general the membership has responded to that. by and large, the society at large has responded to that. I think when we say the ANC is the leader of the society, we must not impose that. We must not impose ourselves to society. We must be seen responding to issues that affect our people. By doing that, then people will recognize us as their leader. So I think we must honestly give credit to the RUC collectively, the effort that they've made working with the branches of the ANC, working with the society at large to try and respond to issues that affect our people, whether it's the issue of crime, is the social issues, is the issues of network roads, issues of water. In the main, matters that are discussed with our communities are matters that affect our communities on the ground, particularly our motive forces. So I think any response that we witness on the ground is based on the fact that the organization is engaging on issues that affect our people, other than engaging on issues that are of individual interest, which I think it becomes a challenge in the Congress movement when we start doing that.
And so when I started, Comrade, I spoke about the Mkhanyakote district, Idumengani. Now, let's talk about the mayor, yourself. Udume sekweshomila izinto ezimbili, two things that come up when your name comes up. One being you are known as the champion of water in that region, and the other thing is there's a story going around about something to do with a transformer that went out in your area, and how you then managed to roll up your sleeve and get involved. So can you just shed light on both of those stories that sound like a very active mayor in his community?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. We were deployed in that municipality by the ANC in 2022. I think it was in March 2022. We were given a very clear mandate. We were sent by the ANC in the main as activists to begin with, to work with our communities, collective with our people in resolving issues of water in the main. But secondly, of course, we were also given a responsibility to look at issues of economic stimulation, because the region does have a huge potential. I've alluded to the fact that we are a tourist destination, but also because of the dam, you've got a potential in terms of agricultural growth. You have an area called Makatini Flat, about 4,000 hectares of land, a very arable land, which in all documents that has been produced there, it has a capacity to supply the entire country or the entire SADC region, so they say. So we were given a mandate by the organization, go and work with other comrades there to resolve these issues, find a way to work with our people in resolving these issues. So hence our attitude and approach in terms of water, it's a grassroots approach, activism. We must be on the ground. Of course, we have to make sure that we have stability in terms of your governance, your councils, stability in terms of your management and so forth. But the fundamental issue was for us to be on the ground, work with our people. It's a huge task. It's not easy. There are serious challenges on the ground, pushback sometimes that we feel, but I think collectively we are determined to work with our people and resolve these issues. On the issue of a transformer, we depend, of course, on ESCOM in terms of ensuring that we are pumping water, but we are also purifying water. One of our plants is in the area called Skemelele. It's called Shemula plant. It's on the other side of the dam or Upongolo River. So it's a plant that has a capacity, in fact, of 27 megaliters a day. So there we can purify in a space of 24 hours, 27 million liters of water. That size, you can supply over 120,000 people. So it's a sizable plant. But to run that plant will depend, of course, on Eskom. So one of their transformer collapsed. So, of course, you follow processes. If a transformer collapses in a plant, then you speak to Eskom, they log in the query, give you a reference number. Day 1 gone by, day 2 gone by, day 3 gone by. No, it was too much for us. So we mobilized to the level of the premier. We engaged Eskom. Day 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we decided to drive to the Westville office to have a face-to-face discussion. They would say transformer of that particular size, maybe they are not in the province, they have to get them in other provinces, or they have to manufacture them. They would give you a lot of stories. So, well, we had to sit around the table in their offices until they sourced the transformer. So I remember it was a Friday. We were there on Thursday. We slept around here. We were there on Friday. 2 o'clock on Friday, we were told they've located the transformer. We waited until very late in the evening. So we had to escort the transformer ourselves. Drove all the way to Umkanyagute. The following day, they sent the contractor. We started to fix the transformer. We started to run the plant on Monday afternoon. Then it collapsed the following day again. Why? Because I think there was a technical challenge that occurred along the process. When the plant of 20 megaliters has not been running for 8, 9, 10 days, to start the plant and then building the storage, pushing water to your commander reservoirs, then starting to fill up your pipeline, you need another probably 48 hours to do that. So we could not even achieve that 48 hours. It collapsed again. But we had to stay there, the plant ourselves, stayed there, engaged Eskom. 3 days later it was sorted, which was a huge relief for our people, because our approach is very simple. We haven't reached what we call a universal access in terms of water provision. The fact of the matter, we are not close to that. We are working towards that. But we cannot deny people who have already got access to clean water. We must make sure that where we are able to provide water now, it must be consistent. Hence, we have to improve your maintenance, but you also have to make sure that we have adequate operation so that people who are receiving water today, they must receive water tomorrow, unless if there is an arrangement in terms of rationing because of other issues which are challenges. So a story of a transformer became very close to our heart. We realized that it became close to many of our people. But what was important during that period was working with our people, keeping them informed, updated, working with us in resolving that particular issue, which we think we value their support, we value their participation. Some they will think they have connections. Oh, we'll speak to so-and-so in Eskom and stuff like that. It becomes very exciting when people get involved in that fashion. So
I think one of the primary takeaways for the leadership has been the maintenance issue, which a lot of people are now down the line suffering due to lack of. And I think hopefully you're nursing that transformer like your last born baby and maintaining it wherever you can. Comrade Mdaka, one of the things that strikes me as you speak, and it's not on the list of questions, but I have to ask it for my own understanding. Are you a son of the region? Were you born in Kayabonde? Because what is your history that gives you sort of that clarity to want to focus on the needs of your people in that area?
Oh yes, I was born in the region. I was born in the area called Hlabisa. My mom told me that I was born before she could reach the hospital. So somewhere on the way to the
Somewhere on the road.
yes, I was born there, raised there, got an opportunity to leave the region for study purposes. But I've been part of the political developments in the region. In fact, around 1997, I was still very young. I served in the RUC of the region as a deputy secretary for 2 terms. Then year 2000, then I detour and focus on other issues. So I've been involved in the structures on the ground. So I come from that region. It's my home. It's a home, of course, of many of us. So yes, if you would see the patient, I'm not too sure if I see the patient to myself, but I think we are trying to do what needs to be done. It's now or never, we have to do what has to be done now for our people. But also we are a product of the Congress movement. We have been taught that we exist not for ourselves, but for our people. We are not saints. We make mistakes along the way. But those mistakes has to be committed and be corrected, because revolution, it's about making change. So in the process of making change, there will be hiccups. But to cut a long story short, yes, I come from that region. Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah.
With the passion. One of the other things that you have accelerated is service delivery. We've also touched on the cross-border crime prevention. First of all, those two things, how do you achieve them? They're not easy in this climate. How have you managed to, first of all, accelerate service delivery, and then secondly, try and curb the cross-border crime?
I would keep on emphasizing the issue of collective effort and the clear mandate that was given to us in terms of, particularly around the issue of water provision. One of the advantages of the region is that we have the 5th largest dam in the country, the Upongolo River, which is famous, known as Jozini Dam. It's a sizable dam. It covers about 17 hectares of land. It's huge. I think it's about 80-90 meter wall. Constructed around 1960. I think the concept was around 1955. 1974 it was completed purely for white farmers. Mainly for purposes of sugarcane in that area in agriculture. Fast forward, the breakthrough of 1994 gave an opportunity for the ANC-led government to utilize that dam for the provision of water to our people. Sadly, the dam has never served the black Africans in particular. Yet, the dam was constructed in the area of Abonkosu Nyawo, Abonkosu Kumete, which have never benefited. So you have what to call in water provision a source. One of the biggest challenge in water provision is where are you going to get your source? So you have a dam in Umkanyabute. So when we came into office, number of interventions have been done. So ours was to consolidate those interventions and accelerate the issues of water provision. The advantage that you had when we came into office, you had one of the biggest plant in the region, which produces about 40 megaliters a day, which is just situated around Jozini. Let alone further down, you have another 20 meg. So to some extent, you have the base. So ours was to make sure that we are now transporting this clean water to communities. We had to focus on that, align our priorities as government, put the good team on the ground, Then we've been seized over the past year with that work now of piping those water to communities. We've completed about 2 projects, 3, another one is coming on board now. But we have a number of projects that we are doing throughout Jozini, but also Komhlabi Lingana, Big 5 Hlabisa, as well as Mduba. But we have also received a massive support from the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Minister Mchunu, in terms of his interventions. So we are currently in a position where we are able to do intervention in almost every corner of the region. It's not enough, of course. Our people want water now. It's their right. But we are working with them in making sure that we are able to, one, resolve bottlenecks in some areas, but starting new projects in some other areas. But what we have also learned along the process is that some of these issues are minor issues which need our commitment and focus to unlock it. You know, you come to an area, people in this village, they have water here, the other village, they don't have water. You don't need to go and source big funding for that. You can do some of these things internally. But we had a number of projects that were started and were never completed. Some massive. So we had to focus on that as well and address those issues. Used some of the infrastructure that was procured sometimes back, test it if it's still in good conditions, put it on the ground and try to run. So it's been a collective effort and a commitment from most of our colleagues, but also we've received a lot of support on the ground. People who want to work with us. We try to do these engagements, small communities engagements, to find solutions to our people on these issues. On the issue of a border crime, look, there have been a lot of challenges around issues of border crime. In the main, it's been the issue of card theft. But there are a number of other implications of having a border with Swaziland and Mozambique. Illicit goods coming through, whether it's alcohol or cigarette and so forth. So it's a much bigger issue than what you see from the distance. So some of the activists, our people in that region who have been very active, have been eliminated, killed. One such was our comrade Judah Mtetwa. And think we were reaching a point of no return. It was either we succumb or we just stand up. But the fear that was installed in our communities was very worrisome. You could not stand up in a community meeting and say, let's fight crime. Those slogans near Basabana. I remember in one funeral, somebody stood up near Basabana. People just kept quiet. You could see the fear that our people had. We engaged Comrade Ubegicel and said, enough is enough. He responded very well. We want to applaud him. He deployed a special task team, but we also mobilized ourselves on the ground so that, because at the end of the day, it is our communities that, because criminals, we harbor them, they live with us. But in that case, it's easy for them to go to Mozambique and so forth. So we started this campaign with the support of Comrade Begicel, which has gave us a very good response. I think 2 of the kingpins were arrested. Kingpins that we know. Some, they are still on the run. But we've been very vocal as well. Somehow we took the responsibility to be the voice of our people and send the clear message to criminals that your time will come. It's now or never. So if you go to the villages now and say Niabasabana, the response that you get is no. You can see the confidence our people they have now to criminal justice, but to the police. But they have to, amongst themselves, to say it's now or never. So it's an ongoing battle. If we won it, it's its ongoing battle, but we must continue to mobilize our people to be part of the solutions. But we must be very clear to criminals. Umkhanyakude is not a place for criminals. We will deal with the criminals decisively. Of course, within the ambit of the law, so I don't want to be too controversial. But we have to deal with criminals. They must know that that region is not region for criminals. It's a region that has a huge potential, economic stimulation. I've alluded to that. It must be a peaceful, loving region where our people are able to walk even in the afternoon to go and buy something from the shop without the fear of being tortured, raped, or anything of that particular nature. And people are free to buy whatever car they want to buy as long as they afford that. So we have a responsibility to bring hope to our people, but we also have a responsibility to mobilize our people to work with us in ensuring that we bring safety to communities of Mkhanyakude.
On the ANC KZN Facebook page, comrade, we asked the people to ask any question that they would like us to pose to you when you joined us today. And there weren't many questions. What did come through quite strongly are the compliments. Many people had nothing but good things to say about you and your leadership. How does that make you feel?
Look, we are not there yet, and we are far from being there. I would borrow what Miriam Makeba said, is not yet uhuru. So we still want to mobilize, send a message to our people. Let's join hands and walk this journey together. Minister Mkhunu said in our last engagement, there's a serious plan to build a dam around Ntubatuba along the banks of Mfolozi River. So he said something very profound, that water is a source of life. So for those families who don't have access to clean water, for those women who still have to walk a distance to fetch water, for those young kids who still have to come back to school, before they will do anything at home, they have to walk and find water somewhere. For those who even don't have a source where they will get that water, they have to go to a river, share water with cows and so forth. Compliments will be meaningless if we haven't addressed those issues. So the struggle continues. The journey towards the fulfillment of the objectives of the NDR, it's an ongoing issue. And for all of us who have been given a responsibility to serve our people, we must do whatever it takes to contribute. But we must work with our people, so that at the end of the day, if we succeed, our people would say they've done it themselves. So it's a journey that must be traveled. We are given that opportunity now. We are grateful to the Congress movement. It's a journey that must be traveled.
That's a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
That's a good place to leave it. It's a journey.
Yeah.
And you to continue.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Comrade Mdaka, and thank you very much for watching. This podcast is available wherever you get podcasts, on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. We're also on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So please do join us there as well as X. Join us next week for another guest. If you've got someone in mind that you'd like us to have on the stage, then also do leave your suggestion down below. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.